Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I've been meaning to talk about this for a while, but I saw that the round 2 of the application process for the CHAPEA missions recently closed, so it seemed like a good time to talk about this interesting series of missions that has a group of people isolating in a Mars bubble for an entire year. Because if you don't think you're going to be one of those people who are ever actually going to go to Mars, you can at least pretend, right? Which of course I'm like, yes, you can. Which I understand as an actor, my bias might be like, this is way more intriguing than maybe the rest of you think. But let's take a look at what this would really be like, and then we can all decide together. So as I'm sure many of you already know, NASA has a program called CHAPEA, which stands for Crew Health and Performance Exploration Analog. An analog here just means simulation. So it's a series of 3 analog missions that simulate year-long stays on the surface of Mars. Each mission will consist of 4 crew members living in Mars Dune Alpha, an isolated 1,700 square foot habitat at the Johnson Space Center. During the mission, the crew will conduct simulated spacewalks and provide data on a variety of factors, which may include physical and behavioral health and performance. Mars Dune Alpha is a 3D printed structure that is intended to simulate a realistic Mars habitat to support long-duration exploration-class space missions. Life in Mars Dune Alpha will resemble the expected experience for those living in a future Mars surface habitat. The layout was designed to provide separate areas within the habitat for living and working. The analog mission will be as Mars realistic as feasible, which may include environmental stressors such as resource limitations, isolation, equipment failure, and significant workloads. According to NASA, the major crew activities during the analog may consist of simulated spacewalks, including virtual reality, communications, crop growth, meal preparation and consumption, exercise, hygiene activities, maintenance work, personal time, science work, and of course, sleep. And the inside is much more like an Airbnb. It's like much homier than what the astronauts have to deal with on the ISS. And mission 1 of CHAPEA is happening right now. It started on June 25th, 2023. There are 4 people living in their little Mars year-long bubble right now. They are Kelly Haston, the commander, Ross Brockwell, the flight engineer, Nathan Jones, the medical officer, and Anka Solario, the science officer. And this is them going inside.
Bye, have a great time.
Now, according to NASA, the overarching goal of the mission is to assess human health and performance in relation to Mars' relevant resource limitations in isolation and confinement. To collect sufficient data, it was decided that a full year of crew members living and working on the Mars habitat was needed. And like I said, they're going to do 3 of them. So mission 1 is going to get out this summer. So NASA is getting ready for mission 2. And like I said at the beginning, they just closed applications for those who are interested in applying to be part of mission 2, which would happen in spring of next year. And just like the new round of NASA astronaut applications, you don't have to have like insanely fancy credentials to get in on this. They're basically looking for 4 people to give up their entire lives for a year, requirement 1. They want them to be healthy, motivated U.S. citizens or permanent residents who are non-smokers, 30 to 55 years old, and proficient in English for effective communication between crewmates and mission control. Applicants should have a strong desire for unique, rewarding adventures and interest in contributing to NASA's work to prepare for the first human journey to Mars. And crew selection will also follow like standard NASA criteria. Like you have to have at least a master's degree in some STEM field, 2 years professional work experience, yada, yada, yada. And they do say in their application page that compensation for participating in the mission is available. More information will be provided during the candidate screening process, which I find interesting. I'm like, is it real money? Jury duty money? I did read somewhere that someone said that they get $10 for every waking hour, which I was like, well, all right, but I couldn't confirm it, so that just might be the internet. NASA went on to say, as NASA works to establish a long-term presence for scientific discovery and exploration on the moon through the Artemis campaign, CHAPEA missions provide important scientific data to validate systems and develop solutions for future missions to the Red Planet. With the first CHAPEA crew more than halfway through their year-long mission, NASA is using research gained through simulated missions to help inform crew health and performance support during Mars expeditions. So the second mission is due to start in spring 2025, and then the third one will happen in 2026. Now, the results of CHAPEA and the knowledge gained from these analog missions is in large part about risk management. NASA is attempting to fill in what they call strategic knowledge gaps, which currently makes a manned mission to Mars now way too risky. Scott M. Smith, a co-investigator at CHAPEA, says currently there are 4 red risks: radiation, SANS, which stands for Spaceflight Associated Neuroocular Syndrome, which is a swelling of the eyeball that affects the majority of astronauts during long periods in microgravity, crew behavior and performance, and food and nutrition. He explained, those are risks that in my mind represent things that if we had a vehicle on the launch pad today to go to Mars, we would advise against the trip. So obviously the analog won't be able to test the effects of radiation or reduced gravity, which on Mars is roughly 38% of that on Earth. So the primary objective is really assessing human health and performance. And a large part of that is testing the impact of the Martian diet over an extended period of time. Smith says, if you go back through the history books, food and nutrition made or broke many an exploration journey. Across the oceans or to Antarctica or the Arctic, if you didn't plan well for nutrition, it didn't go well. I'm also having flashbacks of those scenes in The Martian where Matt Damon is like desperately trying to grow a potato. So the journey to Mars right now is estimated to take between 6 and 9 months. Right now, the plan is that another mission will ship the food to the planet in advance of humans, which means that that food will need a very long shelf life. Smith explained that the last food will be eaten about 5 years after we launch it. If you think about packing up your pantry with food that's going to sustain you over the next 5 years, that's a challenge. So a lot of what's going on inside the habitat is to address these concerns. Inside the habitat, the crews will eat rations similar to those on ISS, but without the benefit of choosing a percentage of their menus like current astronauts do. Because in all likelihood, those provisions will already be on their way to Mars before the crew has been finalized. But participants will also grow their own vegetables using a hydroponic system, which is meant to be both a psychological and nutritional boost. So this will allow NASA to characterize the risk of the planned exploration from food system design in relation to crew health, but also to communication delays, which they are working with about a 22-minute delay right now. So any messages that are sent to or from Mars Dune Alpha has that 22-minute delay. Ambient noise will be played by speakers throughout the base to ensure that no outside noises are heard by the participants. They're also supposedly going through a lot of strenuous physiological and psychological testing, which I couldn't find a lot of details about, but I suppose we'll know once they come out. But as Mission 1 team's stay is winding down, it seems like it's gone pretty well. They celebrated birthdays and Christmas, grew tomatoes, exercised, and did a variety of Mars simulated walks. Dr. Jones, the medical officer, did apparently accidentally break one of the rovers, but it seems like they didn't go crazy and all turn on each other, which is always a bonus. And in the going away briefing, all the team members spoke, but I think it was Dr. Jones, the medical officer's remarks that really solidified the impact of what these people were doing and what the next participants will be doing for the next 2 missions. Going away for a year is no joke.
But I believe that tomorrow will only be possible because we step into Mars Dune Alpha today. And with that in mind, I also want to take a moment to sincerely thank the great many people who've worked tirelessly and so many countless hours to get us to this point. Thank you. And thank you, NASA, for the profound trust that you've put in us as a crew. Also, thank you to our families and friends for their sacrifices. We see you, we know those sacrifices. We couldn't be here without your love and support. Sorry. To my wife and kids, I love you, the moon. I'm sorry, Mars, and back. Thank you.
So yeah, Mission 1 will be wrapping up on July 6th of this year, and then all the crew members will be reunited with their friends and family. And it's not just the CHAPEA program. NASA's also looking at the Artemis program to give them more information in areas like radiation. And this might be the red risk that's the toughest obstacle on the road to Mars, given its propensity to cause cancer and other physiological impediments. Smith said, "The idea that we'll ever be able to get the risk down to zero is a long shot, but we'll do what we can," which is pretty fair. I mean, this is by far the riskiest thing that human beings have ever done when it comes to space exploration. So while to some the idea of a Mars simulation living on Earth may seem a bit silly, it does give us a lot of data in a variety of ways. And to me, it just seems like you cannot have enough data in every aspect of this journey before you attempt it. So let me know what you guys think. Is this something that you would do if NASA would let you? Not a chance in hell. You get the suits. You get like the cool astronaut suits. Again, it's just my actor bias. I'm like, the costume you get to wear, guys. I think for some people, it's probably the best of both worlds. You get a chance to kind of play astronauts without having to be strapped to a few thousand tons of rocket fuel. Maybe it's not so bad. Okay, that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, I'll see you in the next video.